fail, I would assume, when someone joins. I see a couple of people have joined, Ken. You might give it a couple of more minutes and then you can start.
All right. Get a couple more minutes. All right. As we join, everyone joins us. Appreciate everyone is joining us today. Got a little music going in the background called The Force from Star Wars. All right. We'll give it another couple more minutes and things like that, if you like. And have we initiated the actual recording?
Yes, I started it.
Have you also put it on transcribe as well?
I don't have that option.
Okay. All right. One more minute. Let's go. All right. Are we guys ready? Ready to get the party started? Let's go ahead and do this. All right. I want to thank everyone that coming today. Today we're going to do a little bit about security and what we've done to kind of help to provide a full security manifest and providing security for you, your organization, or your entity as a whole. My name is Kenneth Barnes, and I'm a principal architect over here at Windows Management Experts. And with us today, we also have, if you guys would like to go ahead and introduce yourselves, too, that would be great. As the protocol for this, if you have any specific questions or concerns or any other things, just go ahead and raise your hand and or put those questions in the chat room, and we will monitor those accordingly. And at the end of the actual conversation, we will go back and give some time to either discuss, put those on a board, or we can answer those in the upcoming future for you. So thank you. So if you guys would like to introduce yourselves, that will also be great, and give a quick introduction. Thank you.
Well, we have Vicky Moore, who's CEO, Matt Tenney, who's the owner. I'm John Meggert in the project management office, and we have Wajid as part of WME also.
Thank you for that splendid introduction, John. Really appreciate it. So part of the overall area that we're really kind of discussing is that our security overall and an overall paradigm and things like that. And what we are trying to kind of manifest is that the security industry has failed us, has failed to turn the tables, and we need to think, how can we get security to kind of help? Security, as you know, is fragmented, it's noisy, it's not scalable, it's costly. It's a needed type of scenario. It's almost like having water, but if you drink water in some cases, you can die from that, and you can do that from a security standpoint. And you're always looking for that security unicorn type individual to kind of help you in securing your overall goals and your initiatives and things like that. What we're going to do is quickly just kind of go over this whole security paradigm and saying what we are doing and how you can help to secure your entity, your corporation, or your organization as a whole. So we need a paradigm shift, right? So one, what we're doing is that we're incorporating how we can incorporate artificial intelligence, how we're incorporating deploying and human ingenuity where it matters. Also augmenting artificial intelligence within security by putting in the foundation so that you have security around your boundaries, around total internet connection and connectivity, making it zero trust as humanly possible, and then taking out all the manual false positives and things like that that are all associated with that as an overall type of scenario. What this brings us is a onion that will bring more advanced general models and using OpenAI as in a Microsoft type of scenarios, using Copilot and other things, Chat GPT 35, 45, and also as well. Using hyperscale infrastructure, evergreen threat and cyber skills to help with prompting to the actual services and interluding to that. So we've incorporated a solution. It's called a managed artificial intelligence extended detection and response. And we go through all the various different things. So we look at threat intelligence, all the analytics and services. We continue to have it automate, looking at skills, looking at the various different telemetry and all the various different services and the best practices, and all incorporating a full security governance that can help you and your organization all the way from a one-person organization up to a million-person organization, to having it fully automating, securing, and then having it continue to learn and to expand, as well as and doing it in a more cost-effective moment and scenario. What we're going to kind of next is kind of focus on is the zero trust componentries of that and how they kind of work in your overall security workspace and how they're involved. So the core pillars of zero trust include, as we go through, like there's the actual at the user or the informational worker standpoint, there's like data analytics, the data warehousing components and all that tier and that tower. Then there's the application services, the application workload, and those they're various different things. There's the network environment and device endpoint. All these are in the realm of the various different components and structures that we have that we facilitate. Bringing in one entity that kind of helps to kind of formulate that in here. And then what we do is that we've incorporated all this and automating each one of those base components on there. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff that you have, but part of that includes like your CIM, your SIEMs, your SOAR, your cloud service provider management tools, and your CWP tools. As bringing in one type of solution, not only does it help you from a on-premise, but also on hybrid and on multiple different clouds that are agnostic for you and your organization. This is just not Azure. It's just not GCP, AWS, Oracle, IBM, WSO2, Scala. We are looking at providing a zero trust through all your various different areas and also through your various different application sets and being very agnostic. One of the things that we also is that we focus on the workspace. So this workspace, as you can see right here, is an important area that is truly ideal. So we're focused on the workspace area because it always starts internally or externally for the actual user data and how they all incorporate from there. So bringing that out, bringing that forward, looking at how you can incorporate life cycles, permissions, ownerships, and delegation, and automating that from a standpoint. So there are tools that are out there that help with that, WME has used before, but now all this is in the new changing of how you can secure this on a going forward. How can you onboard? How can you create this in there and creating a full security trust, a full overall view for you and your organizational area. So the advantage is focus, right? It's focused on the data, it's on the applications, on where you have the access, and how can you incorporate the various classifications and the levels of users and labeling on each one of that. If you don't know what you're securing from an asset level and from an inventory level, how can you make sure that those are secure? If you don't know that your application is not secured from a single sign-on or metadata, and it has a certificate that's associated with that, guess what? Some bad actor is going to get to you in some way or some form or some shape or anything else like that. Keep an open perspective, keep a secure model, and looking at that, how can you do this from a cycle management? And then what we've done is we have created, and what we have is a full end-to-end automated system that uses a combination of various different services, applications, scripting, artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning type based tools and things like that. As you can see here, this is our architecture of what we've implemented. And as you can see on here, it's fairly small, and we can kind of bring that forth. So all this, as you can see, this is a zero trust network, total internet connection and connectivity with an automated managed detection and response that we've incorporated within here. We've built this upon using a Microsoft-based framework. This Microsoft-based framework uses artificial intelligence, works in multiple different types of cloud platforms. We're not subjective to specifically for government cloud or public cloud or private cloud or anything else like that. It works with all those from an endpoint and an institutional type of scenario. We start also looking at the application levels, specifically if there is development that's needed. So we incorporate SaaS, DaaS, RAS, and those services, all the static and application services, they're all part of that. So it all integrates to each one of those various different components that are in there to kind of help to facilitate your needs. So this is kind of like the Microsoft security code analysis that is very cost effective, that you build into your detection and the response components of there too. So and what we have is created a full automated area that can now be put in there, and all that one person, the one person that you call Manuel, now you can use the automated interest. That's all associated with that too. As you can see here, we're using a lot of every organization, some capacity or something uses Active Directory, and we have incorporated like Entra ID as part of that overall movement and various different services right now. Entra ID used to be called Azure Active Directory, and now it's called Entra ID. The reason why Microsoft wanted it's because it's the entry into the overall security now that's all involved with that. So as you can see right here, this Entra ID and all the various different components of that are all instituted on there too. So when you talk or when you're looking at security, remember Azure Active Directory is now Entra ID now, all right? And Active Directory on premise is still the actual same name. So it's moved towards that, but with Azure Active Directory, there are new things now. So now as part of that, if everyone remembers, there's like an express gateway and express routes and things like that, which segments, you can do BGP to your various different private links and things like that. Now it's all ingrained. It's all part of that. And we're going to later on kind of touch that from an overall type basis too, of how that's all kind of incorporated in that and stuff like that. With this, we have this system that we've incorporated. Not only is it an extended and managed detection and response that's fully automated, but it is a security operations center. It automatically goes out and messages you. It communicates, it talks to you, and it provides an overall type of scenario to kind of help you to facilitate that. And what we've done is that security is a basis, is a foundation that all of organizations may need. But you cannot have security without having governance. You can't be doing things with best operational performance. If your servers are going down and it's bouncing up and down, or if you're having a high CPU, it could be something related to security. We don't know, but all that's managed into one tightly, very fluid, organic type of solution. What we've incorporated for this as a scenario. As you see this service that we currently have here, this is fully automated. We basically have this as used as, so this has a combination of deploying this using Terraform, Ansible. It has some Python, has a little C#, some scripting, CLI Bash, and things like that to deploy this throughout your network and your service, your environment, your infrastructure, and through the various different resource and workloads also as well. So we're going to go to the next area. And what we've done is that, so this little piece right here, the security copilot, now we're using artificial intelligence within there. And the next one I'm going to kind of explain and kind of saying how it's being used kind of going forward. This is it. So this is like the how we've incorporated like the AI componentries of that and using that. So there are different components. One, of using the security copilot and services. We're using Microsoft Engine, Fusion. We're also doing UEBA and all those services, all using the base components of NIST and services of prevention, detection, investigation, remediation, threat intelligence, and active response and things like that. This all kind of collaborates and communicates to one base environment to kind of help to using your SIEM, your SOAR, your CSPM, to bringing one solution, one umbrella. And that is agnostic to your cloud or cloud platforms, that bringing that as an overall solution as part of that. And this is an example of it actually in work and things like that, of what we've implemented. So this actually goes through, looks at the actual alert. You can change the actual alert based on, say, if this is something on here, and based on that prompting on here, I was like, hey, this user or this entity changes, and based on that, that logic flow or process will be modified or changed, and then revolve, and then actually going forward into an overall scenario from there. So this can look at suspicious logons. It could look at possible malware, phishing, spam, and it continues to learn. And what we've also incorporated is that there's always that false positives that always occur. And this almost eliminates it almost by 80, 90% with all that various different chatter that can occur from there as a perspective from there. This is an example of us where we've actually set this up for a MITRE attack using our open AI services that we currently have implemented at our organization. And we've taken this and we're now managing other organizations from this and securing them using at a very automated type fashion using some of the various services. And now, so if it goes out and check and validate and keeps looking at that from any incidents or anything else like that. And before, what this has done is that it now decreases your overall costs by keeping you up to date, looking at that information, and also remediating and mitigating each one of those various services that are helping you so that you get to a better state and a better mind, and you're in a mindful state. There is nothing better than having an organization like WME looking at your security so that you don't have to sweat and we don't have to sweat as much, but the automation that we've incorporated as part of our security automation makes this a full manifest type of scenario. And we do have this that is currently running, but there is some things that are kind of proprietary that we can't really show for that, because it's always looking at various different things and looking at the riskiness or some things that are always happening that we need to keep that segment and separate from there. And as you know, threats are going to continue. They're going to continue in volume, velocity, and sophistication. What this does, it goes through, it'll look at anything from a ransomware or service, and it'll help to identify, it'll help to mitigate, and it'll look at any like payloads or any lateral type based movements and structures that will help to decrease your overall case insofar as defining your overall security and things that are associated with that. And remember, there is one thing that the defenders think. They think in lists. They'll try to attack you in workloads, cloud apps, endpoints, and email, and anything that they can get their hand on. And as that is what they're doing that. But now they not only do they think in lists, they think of graphs. Graphs are an overview of how they have a better perspective of things that's associated with that. So in conclusion, I want to say is that it's the best and most ideal thing is to where you can automate, trying to get to like to the 80, 90% to help to facilitate that is ideal, and have it continue to learn. And in using the tools that are necessary for there, the time is not to wait. The time is to act upon there and to also make sure that you can have there. Are you saying that when you do get attacked and you get compromised and mitigate, if you have something that's out there and you can't say that, hey, I can't pay for this now, you're going to pay for it in the future. The time to act is now. Attack that, let's go and make that work. All right, so that is a very quick session that we have. Now, if there's any questions or any concerns or anything else like that, please let's go ahead. We're open up the room, the floor for any discussions or questions. Thank you. So I was wondering if this is going to happen. So if I have a couple different questions for you. If you have something like this. So for example, to implement a security environment such as this can take anywhere for doing the actual build can take anywhere from like 4 hours, depending on how many resource their workloads are, to up to like 40 hours or so, in creating this overall solution that we've architected here, which is this one right here. Right here. So to build this whole environment takes about, depending on all your resources, your workloads, can be done in less than 24 hours or so, or less than a 40-hour week. And at the minimum, if there's like a very small organization, it could take 4 hours or so. Once that's done, it's pretty much on the stance. There's going to be some changes here and there to tweak it and everything else like that, but it can be completed and done within. And what we do is that we've created like a service that helps so that we update and we continue to automate each one of those. And you can get like a build process to help to managing that. And you can get anywhere from like 5 hours a month up to like 40 hours a month, where we have, if there is an incident or response or any updates or new onboarding of other processes that cause like a lot of manual type of thing, those are also some of the areas that you can have in there. But remember, part of the extended detection and response is we also look at security as the main thing, but we look at costs, we look at governance, performance, and also providing an overall operational excellence.
So Ken, this is Matt. Just a question for you. Just maybe other people have it, but if you were just starting your security maturity processes and you don't have anything implemented, what are the top 2 or 3 things that you would recommend be a starting point? I mean, there's a lot to this, conversation. So just for people that are looking to get started, what would you recommend?
My recommendation really is to start with a proven architecture, and there is a word called using a cloud adoption framework or a landing zone. So if you're doing any type of environment or structure it on premises or that, you look at a adoption framework that is suitable for you and for what you're doing from an enterprise type base model. That it's very easy to implement and deploy from there. And it also decreases your costs to do a implementation. And you can do it from like a 1 or 2 organizational area all the way up to millions of workloads and resources that it has been proven to actually use. And it looks at all those various different areas that's associated with that. So that's one. The other thing is that making sure that you have a limit and budget in mind. Everyone has that cost model that they need to do to make sure that their organization is viable for all throughout the various different architectural needs. That includes the components of the data execution, application design, development, operations, network security, integration, and anything that involves the knowledge that's necessary or reference that's associated with that. All right.
There is one question. Sorry, there's one question that did come up. Not sure I have the last word right. It says, how do I decide what security model I need to it says precise. I mean, I wonder if it's proceed, or anyway, what, if this is in modules, or there's certain pieces that can be put in first, which ones would they use?
Right, so the decision is that what is the most aware area that you actually look at from a module perspective of that. So the thing is that when you're doing that from a module standpoint, you always start at your network, you always start at the actual your internet connection and connectivity. So the best module to start with is anything that surrounds your network, your workloads and resources. And then after that is putting security around your overall users and having anything that how they all interface or they integrate to any of the other solutions. Network, users, and applications.
Next question is from Terry is how much of this is based on a pure Microsoft stack? That's a good question. I've actually asked that myself. For instance, what if a firm already has different EDR, MDM, or enterprise email stacks in place?
So the great thing about this is agnostic. So this will work with other, like for example, like G Suite or OpenSuite, or even like the old Q servers and things like that. It all has a data connector to many of those different things. And if there isn't one, you can create one by using some RESTful services or API services that integrates that overall to an overall solution. And if there's a case where you're using like AWS or Scala or something through like IBM Oracle, it all integrates to each one of those on there. So even though we have Microsoft, and the reason why we use Microsoft is because from a informational workspace, they have about 85 to 87% of that workload and workspace. So we kind of use that because of that market share. But if you take a look at that and review this, we're doing AWS, Google, IBM, Oracle. It's agnostic from there. Linux or even the other service from a hardware perspective, and any of the other tools to actually integrate from there that you're doing from an EDR or MDR type of system to kind of help support that.
Okay, I have a question. We operate a manufacturing business. Is this zero trust architecture compulsory for security? What if we required a cheaper way?
Okay, so there's different levels of how you can actually go. You can go to a more of a Cadillac and more of a thing. So if you go to a cheaper way, so the cheapest way is that wait till something happens and then you remediate and then you pay for the cost later on. What ours is that we are doing things that are proactive so that you don't have to be reactive and pay for that for a future type of scenario. Hopefully did I answer that question for you? And remember, if you want to just do in a cheaper type of sense, you can build upon your very bare minimum states and then build upon that in your future aspirations.
Okay.
So, yeah. Well, to supplement that, I guess I'd have a question too. If you say that when we're talking cost, we have a fairly good cost model for the build, then we have the cost for the monitor. The customer or the end client would also have to pay for whatever software gets turned on for the monitoring. So there would be a price for those items, which is outside, which is what they'd have to pay for anyway, but you would be consulting with them and advising them what they have to purchase. And then any usage cost and consumption cost going forward, correct?
This is correct. Yes. And John and I personally have done this and saying that how can we decrease their costs, and we've kind of fine-tuned that accordingly. Yes, you're right on the spot. Did that answer your question, sir? I could take that as okay.
Assume it's all right.
All right. All right. If you
And
have
if anyone has follow-up questions, you want to just tell them they just can reply here, or is there an email address that they can send any questions to for any follow-up, or was that noted in the email or announcement that went out?
Yes, yes. So if you would like to follow up, always just in your meeting invite, just always just feel free to just ask a question on there, and then we will get back to you and things like that. So this is a part one of our session, and then there will be other sessions that we have that we can help to help you and your entities and your organization so that they can be very secure, happy, and going into a state of mind that they can go to bed, that we have your back and you're secure. Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. You guys have a great day. And just on that parting note, please have a great day. And remember, go have your tacos because it's Taco Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Hey, Vic. Hey, Vicky, can you hear me?